All right, welcome to F1 Pecking Order. I'm RSH, and I want to talk a little bit about Aston Martin. They got a bit of a crisis going on just before the Melbourne race. So their MGU-K has a maximum output of 350 kilowatts. Okay, so that's basically 470 horsepower. So at the moment, Aston Martin's MGU-K is only outputting 250 kilowatts, which is a significant loss of power. So the power output of this unit counts for a total of 50% of their power. So at 250 kilowatts, that's a net loss of basically 30%. When Lance Stroll said that they were behind the competition by 3 to 4 seconds during the Bahrain testing, he wasn't kidding. This team is in trouble, and it's being reported that the car might only run for the formation lap in Melbourne. So the power is used to deploy on straights and coming out of the corners, similar to the DRS wing opening and creating less drag so that the car can go faster. We got a button now. So the MGU-K override mode will be available to deploy this power for overtaking. But if you're racing 30% down every lap, last place is the default finish position for your team. The team are now presently in a severe reliability crisis with the 2026 Honda engine, specifically involving unusual vibrations, they're saying, that are damaging the battery system. So when the car is running, so there's a tremendous amount of shaking going on, it's causing excess wear and tear. So if they compete, and we see them out on track at all, they are doing so in an extremely limited capacity to avoid fines and preserve hardware for later in the season. Article 35.1 of the sporting regulations says that every car must set a lap time within the 107% of the fastest qualifying one time to be allowed to take part in the start of the race. So let's say last year for 2025 in Q1, the fastest lap was 1 minute 15 seconds, set by Lando Norris, P1. The gap allowed in order to be allowed to participate is 5.3 seconds down. So 5.3 seconds behind that lead car time. So based on this time, the mandatory 107% cutoff for the session in time would be 1 minute 21 seconds. So Esteban Ocon was P19 last year in 2025 with a time of 1 minute 17 seconds time. So he was allowed to race. So to note another example, Oliver Burman, during one of the 2025 events, did fail to set a time in Q1 within the 107%. He was outside the 107% mark. But it was due to mechanical issues. Haas quickly appealed to the stewards, who granted permission to start the race because he had shown competitive times in free practice sessions earlier that weekend. So this is really important for Aston Martin to put in practice lap times, because if Q1 runs go horribly wrong, meaning they fall outside the 107% time, then they can appeal to the stewards, maybe recognize the competitive practice times would be sufficient enough to allow them to compete in the race. So if you remember, Lance reported their car was behind by 3 to 4 seconds in Bahrain testing sessions to the competition. Aston Martin has a fragile package, and they're down 100 kilowatts of power with mechanical vibrations causing wear and tear on their components, but they should be able to meet a time window of negative 5.3 seconds. Further into the FIA rules, Article 45.2 of the FIA Sporting Code says that a car is generally considered to have started an event once it completes the mandated formation lap. So that's the goal right now of Aston Martin. Getting within the 107 time, taking their place on the grid, participating in the formation lap, starting the race, even if they're intending to retire to the pits immediately after that first lap, the team then would have satisfied their obligations to compete in the eyes of the FIA and the commercial rights holders. This is important because they want to avoid any fines or sanctions during the season, because that's really what's at stake for not participating, because they are contractually obligated to participate in the championship events. Even if they entered an outright no show, I'm not coming at this event, it would trigger massive financial penalties and regulation sanctions. One more item, both drivers on the team must meet the 107% threshold. Fans should tune in to watch for this result with their fingers crossed. The only safety net is if a driver fails the threshold due to exceptional circumstances like mechanical failure, a crash, deleted track limit laps, the team can appeal to the stewards for participation. So as an example, in 2024, the spare chassis crisis with Williams, Alex Albon crashed heavily, damaging his chassis beyond repair at the track. Williams did not have a spare chassis in Melbourne due to manufacturing issues. So James Vowles, the team principal, made the brutal decision to give Sargent's car to Albon for the rest of the weekend. The consequences? Sargent did not start the race, and the team competed with only one car. Williams met the FIA threshold and was not fined due to these circumstances. So thanks for watching. Melbourne is going to be a really exciting race, and we're going to see how much Mercedes and Ferrari have been really sandbagging their speed. So like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Until next time.